Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Mayday Network. You're watching the Daily Dispatch. I'm Michelle Kinney. Um, I wanted to come on here tonight and just talk about the story about Kristi Noem and her husband, which it's hard not to have a giggle and then an eye roll, because these people are the biggest hypocrites on the face of the planet. Truly. These people are so repressed, sexually repressed, refuse to go to therapy, refuse to deal with themselves, that they end up doing this and make the rest of us suffer. This is what it's. Let's get right into it, because the whole thing is so crazy. If you don't know about this already, the Daily Mail broke a story about Kristi Noem, former DHS secretary, Kristi Noem, dog killing Kristi Noem, about her husband, Brian. The headline in the Daily Mail says, "Secret Double Life of Kristi Noem's Cross-Dressing Husband Brian, the Pouting Busty Bimbo Photos, and Trove of Explicit Messages." Where to begin? Where to begin? I haven't turned on my television today, so I don't know how prevalent the story is on television today, because I know there's lots of other more important things going on. But, on the same day that the Supreme Court handed down a decision basically that blocking conversion therapy, I don't exactly know what I'm saying, but they're making it so that conversion therapy for LGBTQ kids is perfectly fine, legal, normal to happen. Because of that decision, young people will die. Young people will die in this country. And then meanwhile, the people who are responsible for this crap are doing this. And here's the thing. If you want to be a crossdresser, you want to blow up giant balloons in your shirt, go ahead. God bless. Live your life. What I have a problem with is the hypocrisy of the secrecy that these people are living under while they oppress the rest of us. And Kristi Noem being one of the most evil people in Donald Trump's administration, just completely soulless, heartless individual. Julie and I often say, when the Nuremberg trials come, we'd like her to be first. So People Magazine, Julie always says, when something makes it to People Magazine, you know that it's in the cultural conversation. And so here it is today. Kristi Noem's devastated. Apparently, she was devastated by this report of her husband Brian's double life dressing as a woman. The former Homeland Security secretary's husband reportedly posed for selfies wearing large fake breasts and sent money to online fetish models. Again, I don't care what people do. I really don't. As long as they're not hurting anyone, who cares? But in this case, they actually are hurting people. And this is the problem I have. And it's, again, acting as though she is devastated. I am absolutely sure she knew something about this, and we'll get to that in a second here. But here's the need to know bullet points here from People Magazine. Excuse me. I apologize. I still got a cough. I still got that cough. Kristi Noem has reportedly been, quote unquote, blindsided by new reports about her husband, Brian Noem. The Daily Mail published photos on Tuesday, March 31st, that's today, that show Brian dressed in women's clothing, including massive fake breasts and pink hot pants. Brian also reportedly paid at least $25,000 to chat with online fetish models in the quote unquote bimbofication scene. I didn't know there was such a thing. We learn something new every day. So just a week after her departure as the head of Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem has reportedly been blindsided by a new report about her longtime husband. Daily Mail investigation published those photos today. Her husband, Brian, 56 years old, participating in online fetish forums. The photos, some of which include Brian's face, show the former first gentleman of South Dakota dressed in pink hot pants and massive fake breasts, apparently made of balloons. Sorry. He also reportedly paid at least $25,000 to chat with online fetish models in the bimbofication scene, which we mentioned in the beginning here, which fetishizes performers who turn themselves into real life dolls by using silicone injections and surgical enhancements. Interesting. So, gender affirming care. Got it. I'm just trigger warning, guys. Trigger warning. Here's the photo. Here's one of the photos. And honestly, what's getting me, sorry. What's getting me is the size. Like, it's not just like a little bit of like little titty. It's like giant, like you can see them from space. And the way that they're turned around to make nipples, and they're like uneven. It's just the sheer size of that. That is sending me. Oh my gosh. But excuse me. But here in the Daily Beast, this was reported today at 6:41 p.m. It's now 7:09, so this is just a brand new story. Ice Barbie, Kristi Noem, hit with claims she knew about her husband's secret life. Kristi Noem admitted months ago that her husband, who reportedly cross-dresses while paying and chatting with adult performers, was gay. Noem's 56-year-old husband, Brian, allegedly shelled out thousands of dollars while dressing up as the opposite sex, the Daily Mail reported Tuesday. The former Homeland Security Secretary, whom President Donald Trump fired early this month, was, quote unquote, devastated. Her spokesperson said, adding that the family was blindsided by this. However, Kristi Noem, 54, apparently told a reporter last year that there was one aspect of her marriage that wasn't conventional. On the August 25th, 2025 episode of conservative political commentator Ryan James Gerdusky's podcast, It's a Numbers Game, the host talked about a fascinating piece of DC gossip. Interesting. It goes on. There is a member of Trump's cabinet. I'm not going to name names until this comes out publicly, but you guys put two and two together and you'll know who I'm talking about, he began. There is a member of the cabinet who's well known, and it's well known that this member, it's a woman, is having an affair, a very semi-public affair. And if you're in the political circles, you know. Now we know here that we're talking about Kristi Noem and her ongoing long-time affair with Corey Lewandowski, which is mentioned here in this next paragraph, who's also married with children. Both of them have denied it, except for when she was under oath in her hearing a couple weeks ago, refused to deny or confirm. And that was sort of the nail in the coffin for Donald Trump. Quote, well, a reporter walked up to her and said to her, why are you having this affair? Why haven't you met up with your husband? Why aren't you divorcing your husband? Gerdusky continued. And she blurted out to this reporter, who I know, and said, oh, my husband's gay. So, again, every every article is mentioning the comically oversized, lopsided breasts, complete with fake protruding nipples. It's just, um, it's again, it's the hypocrisy. And here, Newsweek has reported today as well. President Donald Trump reacted to the reports that the husband of former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, Donald Trump said, "I feel badly for the family." Now, the irony here is that Brian is much closer to, the Mar-a-Lago beauty standard size. Oh my God, guys. It doesn't end. Um, you know, again, in addition to the decision that came down from the Supreme Court today about conversion therapy and the ranting and raving about trans people in this country, demonizing them, this tiny, tiny percentage of the population who just want to live their lives, freely, have been completely demonized to the point that trans people in this country are seeking asylum in other countries because they no longer feel safe here. But meanwhile, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem's husband is at home having a whole nother life, dressing as a woman with comically large breasts. So, there's a couple more photos of him, the selfie. There's close-ups of like his little hot pants. Like the whole thing is just a lot. But I think another part of this too is the national security issue. If the Daily Mail was able to get their hands on these photographs and this information, who's to say the Russians or the Saudis or the Chinese or really any adversary who wants to get their hands on compromising information about this administration and use it to their advantage? Wouldn't be the first time. And this is an administration that they play fast and loose. They don't care. They make war plans on signal chats. We don't have a real press pool in the Pentagon. They're using their private emails, their private phones. Kash Patel's phone was hacked just on Friday. Incredibly, incredibly vulnerable. I cannot imagine the amount of intel, compromise, that has been free flowing out of this administration, with no care at all. They put us in grave danger. And that's the more serious part about this, other than obviously the hypocrisy and the oppression. And this is all, of course, while Lindsey Graham is at Disney World, while war is raging, and we all know all of the secrets that this man has about himself and his life. He's another one. Although we haven't seen any photos of that yet. But this is why they say at CPAC and the TPUSA events that Grindr, which is the gay hookup dating app, crashes when these events come to town. Like, let's say, and I'm just pulling this out, like Phoenix, right? The Grindr will go crazy in Phoenix and will crash the app because there's so much usage. Now, this is, again, a conservative group of people who spend an awful lot of time, an awful lot of capital and resources and energy demonizing gay people. And yet, here they are, repressed as all hell, waiting for this moment to get together in this arena and go raging all night long, drinking and doing whatever else. These people are so repressed and tightly wound. With each passing generation, I think we can all hope that, you know, this the stigma around mental health and, depression and seeking therapy and talk therapy and medical interventions with mental health issues. You know, I'm a millennial. It's certainly gotten better with my generation. Most everybody I know goes to therapy. I mean, I know I'm probably like in a maybe different kind of group of people. I live in New York. It's a different mindset. But most everybody I know goes to therapy. And I know a lot of Gen Z kids, same thing. Same thing. But one would think that some of this stuff would be dealt with. But again, here we are. Here we are with these people. And the amount of damage that they are doing to children. I think about trans kids in this country living in South Dakota who might look around and not see themselves, not feel represented, not feel safe. And we know for a fact the data proves that you know, these kids are taking their own lives out of desperation. And it's the Kristi Noems of this world who make sure that happen with their hateful rhetoric and policies and lack of leadership. While again, they're living a completely different life behind closed doors and using and wielding their power to hurt other people. This is a woman who murdered her dog. Kristi Noem murdered her dog and then wrote about it in a book. These are the people we elected. These are the people that were presented to the American people in 2024. These people that we all knew who they were. They told us who they were. They showed us who they were. And the American people said, you know what? You know what? I don't like that lady's laugh. So I'm going to vote for this orange man again, even though he might be dangerous and is going to appoint people like Kristi Noem and Tom Homan and Stephen Miller and Kash Patel. All of these ridiculously unqualified, unhinged, mentally unwell people like Pete Hegseth. I was just texting with a friend of mine before I came on about, he's like, when I travel, he's like, I understand why people don't like Americans anymore. Not that we were everybody's favorite, but he's like, is it worth saying I didn't do this? I didn't, I worked against this. It's not my fault, but this is as a country who we are. And it's really hard to kind of look around and forgive these people. These are the people we put in power. Repressed, angry people who are making the rest of us suffer. And I say that again, Pete Hegseth. We can do a separate thing about Pete Hegseth, but that crazy man, he is off his rocker. Off his rocker. I don't know if you guys have been seeing his press conferences, if you can even call them that, because again, we don't have a normal press corps at the Pentagon anymore. And so he stands at this little podium with his little flag, pocket square, performing soliloquies with flowery language and hyperbole. And it's ridiculous. It is so completely ridiculous and over the top. Not to mention half the stuff that he's spewing is just not true and it's inaccurate. To echo the words of Julie Roginsky, who worked with Pete at Fox for many years, she said, this man has failed at everything that he has tried to do and has been put in a position he would never be in. Never. In fact, he was removed from the National Guard in 2021 because he was deemed to be too extreme to serve in the National Guard in Washington, D.C. after January 6th. He's an out-of-control person. And this is what Donald Trump does, though, right? Kristi Noem, Pete Hegseth, all these people, right? He collects people. He collects people who are a little off, who don't belong there, who are unqualified. And because all of these things, as much as they never shut up about meritocracy, if things really were a meritocracy, they would not be within 1,000 miles of the Oval Office. He collects these people and then they owe him, essentially. They owe him. And that's how he gets these people to obey. As bored as he is with them, because, he looks around these, he's, he don't want to hang out with people from South Dakota. Those aren't his people. That's why he loves Zohran Mamdani so much. He's from Queens. But yeah, guys, I wanted to come on and just, not to make up for lost time of just kind of being MIA for the last several days. This is just one of those stories that, yes, I think we're all allowed to giggle and have a good laugh and just a little bit of Schadenfreude here, but it's more sinister in the hypocrisy and dangerous. In the fact that they're hurting people in the process. And that's the shit that pisses me off more than anything, is the people who live in closets and in the darkness and, on the DL and while they're using their power to hurt others. And Kristi Noem being one of the worst, most cruel members of this administration. Under her leadership, the deaths of Renee Good, the murder of Renee Good in broad daylight. Alex Preddy, who she couldn't wait to get on TV in front of the cameras and say that they were domestic terrorists, despite the fact that she had no information even suggesting that that was true. While she poses in front of a cell with 100 prisoners whose heads have been shaved, while she stands there with her extensions and her $10,000 watch. Meanwhile, these are the secrets that these people don't want us to know. And now we do. And we can assume that there are governments and adversaries who know a whole lot more. So guys, that's that for Kristi Noem. If anything else happens here, we'll be back. I say we, mostly me. And just to remind people, a little programming note to check out our brand new podcast, The Illegals, the Americans Rewatch podcast. We have new episodes dropping every Thursday. Not at any specific time, but just keep an eye out, like and subscribe here on YouTube, and you will get the notification when we're going to do a premiere. We also publish that on Apple Podcasts as well. We have a great panel of people: Jeff Jarvis, Julie, obviously, and myself, Lieutenant Colonel Jacqueline Urso, Nina Jankowicz, Olga Lautman, Craig Miller. I feel like that's everyone. There's 7 of us that we kind of rotate in and out. So please check that out. And I'll be back with Jeff Jarvis, or we'll be back with Jeff Jarvis Friday morning to talk about the media. Thursday night, we're doing a Final Four preview for March Madness. And Saturday, we'll be back with Saturdays for Sanity. I saw someone say in the chat earlier how much they miss Julie, and she will be back. She will be back as long as all the flights are on time. She'll be back on Thursday, and I do know that she was at the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, on the border of South Korea and North Korea, and she wasn't allowed to take pictures or anything like that on the other side, but she was able to do that, which I think is really, really cool. So we can hear all about that. And Rosie, happy April Fool's Day to you as well. I'll tell you what, this is my feeling before I go. I'm going to say this: April Fool's Day. I think maybe there was a time where I think we all could have handled an April Fool's joke, but we're living in a time now. It doesn't feel safe. Doesn't feel safe. None of our nervous systems can handle any sort of pranks right now. So if you're even thinking about it out there in the universe, forget it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And as I say this, this is not an April Fool's joke. As we all saw, Tiger Woods was in the car crash a couple days ago. BBC is reporting Tiger Woods to take a break from golf to seek treatment and focus on health. That man, he's got problems. I hope he gets better. Well, everybody, you take care. Take care of yourselves, check on each other, and please like and subscribe here at the Mayday Network, and find us on Apple Podcasts as well. And everybody else, well, take care. We'll see you soon.